Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ask Your SHR Expert, a live call where you can ask your most pressing hotel distribution questions and have them answered by a bevy of experts. My name is Jason Emanis, and I am with SHR's marketing crew. I am joined by Brandon Berkman, part of said crew, who is here for technical support. Hello, Mr. B.
Hello.
If you've never participated in an Ask Your SHR Expert call before, here's how it goes. Many of you have submitted questions when you RSVP'd, and we'll begin answering those one by one shortly. However, we will take questions today from the audience, so let me encourage all of you to ask any questions that come to mind during our time together, and we'll do our best to address those towards the end. Today we have two SHR experts joined by one of our esteemed clients. And just as a side note here, SHR likes to hire hoteliers. Did you know that, Mr. B?
I did.
Did you? Okay, cool. Yes, indeed. Our SHR experts with us today both have considerable tenure with hotels. So let's meet them. First, Sally Ramos. Sally is SHR's Director of Implementations. Sally's main mission is to increase revenues and profitability across all connectivity-related channels for our clients, PMS, GDS, IDS, booking engine, and OTA. Sally joined the company in 2004 to lead, at that time, what was called the GDS department, eventually moving over to run implementations. Prior to her time here at SHR, she held roles within Redline Hotels as the company's GDS and channel manager, and at Starwood Hotels and Resorts as their GDS marketing manager. Hello, Sally. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Second up is Kameron Martinez. Kameron is one of our client experience managers. He has 11 years of hotel industry experience with expertise in all facets of account management, customer service, and hotel operation management. His hotel management experience was with Hilton, Marriott, and Starwood brands. Hello, Kameron.
Good morning, everybody.
Now, you're the singer in the group, right?
I am.
Yeah, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you sing it? Almost a tune or sing us a tune?
I mean, I could.
Go.
Yeah?
Sure.
Let's see.
What's your favorite? What do you sing in the shower?
I can go old school back to Hank Williams, or I mean, we could do something. Yeah?
One line of Hank Williams. Go.
Your cheating heart will make you weep.
Man.
You'll cry.
I'm crying right now.
I'm swooning.
Very cool. All right. Now, I hope that didn't take away from our very special guest, a hotelier of hoteliers, Chuck Valentino with Vagabond Inn Hotels. Mr. Valentino manages and implements all hotel operations, procedures, networks, front desk systems, and technology. He plans and directs daily operations of the company and evaluates operating results for CEO review. He had previously joined Imperial Hotels Corporation in '84, advancing through the ranks from porter to assistant manager, manager, and district manager. Mr. Valentino is a certified hotel administrator through the Educational Institute of the American Hotel and Lodging Association. Hello, Chuck. Are you there? Can't hear you. Are we having technical difficulties? Maybe you're on mute, Chuck. I hear a faint Chuck. Can't hear you at all, Chuck. Okay, well, while we work on Chuck's audio, we will get going as not to hold up the fun. Okay, first question from our audience. What is GDS and what are some benefits of connecting to it?
Excellent question. The GDS systems, which are better known as global distribution systems, are used by travel management companies and online travel agents to book fabulous hotels along with airline tickets. So just so out there. The GDS delivers worldwide data, rates, inventory, and offers real-time availability. The four major GDSs is going to be your Sabre, Amadeus, Apollo Galileo, and WorldSpan. So those are the four major GDSs out there. GDSs will remain as the most important channel of distribution for hotels in the hospitality industry. Also, GDS puts your hotel in front of 650,000 plus travel agents daily. So it definitely is a huge benefit for hoteliers to be out there on the GDSs, whether it's for public rate, negotiated, and or consortia.
Very good. Cameron, you have some thoughts? Anything to add?
Definitely think it is an area for a lot of hoteliers to get active in, because it is such a great area to most hoteliers. So I absolutely agree that a lot of this information and as to what it is and how it is a benefit is something key to most hoteliers, because it isn't something that you do have direct access to. So
Put this in perspective for me. What's how many calls a week do you get on GDS? I mean, is it active?
I mean, I get calls every day. So I mean, I probably deal with at least phone calls and or emails, at least 10 of them a day, either questions and or getting certain material displayed out on the GDS daily.
So it's a difficult channel to say the least. There's confusion, there's challenges.
Absolutely.
Okay. So no one should feel bad about being part of this call. We're all in this together. We're all confused, except for experts. Did we fix Chuck's audio?
I think we're better now. Thank you.
Ah, there you are. So do you have any comments on why GDS?
My only comment is that, like all your channels, it should really be treated as important as the rest. You wouldn't be considering not having things on your booking engine or whatever channel your hotel uses the most. Definitely GDS deserves the same look and understanding. If you don't know about it, these people, SHR, have lots of knowledge and plenty of information, and you can learn about it relatively easily, and it's not as daunting as you think. It's another tool in the tool belt. I would utilize it every chance you get.
Cool, very good. All right, next question. What is the difference between GDS and IDS, Internet Distribution System?
The difference between the two, so your GDSs is way back in the day, probably a little bit 30 plus years ago. It was originally created for airline industry to check flight schedules, availability, and pricing. So once the GDSs obtained their presence on that platform, then it kind of expanded from there, where hoteliers were able to sell their availability, car rentals were able to sell their inventory, as well as cruises. So once it expanded in that direction, it's a system that the travel agents use to book pretty much any type of travel through that channel. So that was the GDS. And then a couple of years after that, the Internet Distribution System, which was referred to IDS, is another collection that hit the industry. So it has a huge member base and specializes in the internet marketing of travel and related items. So these member bases include online travel agents, travel portals, any sort of travel search engines, directories, etc. Today, the GDS and IDS serve as virtual marketplaces where travel inventory sellers, such as hoteliers, SHR hotels, airlines, etc., can showcase their public rates, negotiated consortia rates, along with their content. So that's pretty much the difference there.
Okay, very good.
I don't know about 30 years being all the way back then, but we'll let that go.
All right. Next up. How can our hotel check its presence on GDS?
Very, very important question. So my recommendation would be to please contact your client experience manager and request a copy of your HOD, which is your hotel description. The hotel description will provide you with the static content that we have loaded into the GDS, and it'll show how your hotel is presented to the travel agents worldwide. So you really want to make sure that you take a look at that and make sure that you're selling yourself effectively and marketing your hotel in the best light possible. Another thing to keep in mind is super important to make sure that your content parity is the same across all channels. So the information you have on your website, to the information you have on your OTA, down to the information you have in your CRS, which is fed to the GDS. You want to make sure that all of that content is correct. So content parity is key in making sure that your hotel's presence on GDS is accurate along all platforms. Travel agents don't have the availability to pick up the phone and or surf your website for up-to-date information. So you do want to make sure that that information is up-to-date, is, you know, as far down as check-in, check-out, any sort of amenities, room types, etc.
Cameron, any thoughts?
Yeah, and I would absolutely agree with everything Sally just said. So very important to make sure that all of your content is kept up to date within Windsurfer. Making sure you cross-reference everything from the content that's displaying out on the GDS, out on your booking engine, and also out on your OTAs to make sure that all of that is the same. And then also having that HOD report being pulled would definitely help yourself to view how you're displaying out there on the GDS. As I just previously said, it's not something that everybody has direct access to, but with the help of your CXM, we can absolutely get you something over like that to where you can view how you're displaying out there.
How about you, Chuck? Any thoughts?
No, I would make that a regular thing, like I was saying. The HOD, you know, we've had some interesting experiences with what shows up in there and how it gets, I wouldn't say corrupted, but updated. So really run that thing every now and then. Ask for the little tweaks and things that the SHR team usually serves up pretty quickly to you and can recognize deficiencies or things that you really want to update.
Okay, very good. Next, how important are HODs for the hotel, and how many times per year should we look at them?
Very important, like super duper important.
Super
So
duper.
again, we focus so much on our websites and our online travel agencies that because you can't physically see the GDS, you can't go to a URL and look up, you know, Sabre or Apollo or WorldSpan and physically see what you have represented out there. So again, just making sure the key thing from HODs is content parity. Make sure that your content is the same across all channels. If you're building a new website and you're creating the content there, make sure that that content is then uploaded into the CRS, which then reflects on the GDS. So you do want to make sure that you keep that in mind. Focus on the presence in GDS, perform audits quite frequently, whether it's once a quarter or twice a year, whatever works best for you, and just make sure the information is up to date.
Absolutely, and kind of piggybacking off of what Sally had to say, running the report at least once a year. I'd say like absolutely minimum at least once a year, especially if your hotel's going through some changes, any renovations, things like that, to where your amenities, anything that you have out there to put to the guests might be changing some. So absolutely at least once a year running that report or requesting from your CXM to get that report run for you. But best practice being once a quarter, once or twice a quarter coming in there, because there is stuff constantly changing within your rates, within your descriptions, things like that of the hotel. It's a 24-hour business, so it's always active. So much like the hotel, you still want to make sure that all of your content is up to date, and this will only help ensure that all of your content that you are putting out there on the GDS for those travel agents to view is up to date.
What do you think, Chuck?
Yeah, same. Anything promotional or seasonal or anything that you do other places, a blurb in there won't hurt. And it's an excellent point about renovations or you've done something new. Make sure that you include that in your HOD for sure.
Absolutely, and kind of much like Chuck just said, seasonal. I mean, if you're a seasonal property, if it's something that you change different rates every season, things like that. So pulling that report every quarter, at least once every quarter, to view how you're displaying out there with those rates that you just put forward is very keen.
And just to add to that, when you're, if you do request an HOD, let's take it a little further. Why don't you put in the request maybe a couple of dates that you want to pull back as well, so then you can get a feel for the rates that are pulling back in the GDS with the number of nights, number of adults, etc. So you definitely want to make sure that if you do have anything seasonal, any type of promotion, that it is displaying in the best light possible in the GDSs, and the information is very clear to the agent on what they're getting. If it's just the room only, that's fine. If there are any value adds, you want to make sure that those are up front and easily viewable during the booking process, so we can go ahead and make sure that we convert that cell versus losing it to the competitive set. So again, if you do submit an HOD, maybe add in a couple of dates on there so we can retract that information for you.
Very good. Next, is there an ideal number of rooms rates to have on GDS?
Absolutely. I know that there are a lot of hotels out there that have a lot of room types associated to the property. We would love to sell all of them, but due to the constraints of the travel agents not having the availability to contact the property directly and or look at the website, we do want to scale it back a bit so that we can sell efficiently the room rate combinations. So my recommendation is, from a best practice perspective, is going to be selling no more than 9 rooms on GDS. So if you have 20 rate codes that you're sending through that channel, that we don't flood the travel agents with a combination of a lot of room types with that. Travel agents do have to scroll down page by page to pull back the room rate combination. So we just want to make sure that it's easily accessible to them and to kind of streamline through that process. So with the maximum of 9, preferably about 4 or 5. Also, another thing to keep in mind, Cameron, he has a really good logic with his clients, is to really pay attention to the sort order, and you could probably maybe touch on that a little bit more.
Absolutely. So making sure, much like Sally said, displaying maybe around 9 room types out there for those travel agents to view, so it's not too much content out there for them. And then that all ties into how you have your setup with Windsurfer, making sure that your sorting of your room types and or rate codes are laying where you would like them to be, also taking into factor your booking engine as well as the GDS pulling those sort ordered rooms and rate codes out there to pull. So definitely keeping that in mind, and if there is any questions with how you would adjust that sort order within Windsurfer, absolutely reaching out to your CXM and then going forward to help assist with that.
Okay. Chuck, you have any thoughts?
Brandon's very smart, is my thought.
Thank you, but that was Kim.
Sorting is super important. You want to put your best foot forward. They are time constraints. They're looking. They think about it the same way you would anything else.
All right. What are the differences between retail rates and net rates pulled through the GDS IDS? Is availability different?
Absolutely, very different. The GDS retail rates, that's going to be more of your public rate. So it might be your best available rate, your corporate rate, any sort of promotion or packages you have available for the travel agents that are, they don't have any sort of requirements behind them and available to any guest. And then you've got your qualified rates, which may require some sort of an idea check-in time. So that's going to be your AAA, ARC, senior government. As far as net rates, there are net rates that are available to wholesalers. So that is going to be more travel agency specific, meaning that the wholesalers are the only ones that are going to be able to access the net rates. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. I know that the net rates do offer a unique and innovative approach to travel bookings by giving them that exclusive rate. But another thing to keep in mind is that through the GDS channels, you have the ability to sell, along with that, the negotiated and consortia rates through those channels, which are heavily used.
Cameron, thoughts?
Just agreeing much so with what Sally has to say with those areas, and also keeping in mind her last point on those travel agents and the consortia rates being pulled through there as well.
Okay, Chuck?
Consortia probably the best tool for, you know, IDS and GDS by far.
Okay, very good. Let me remind everybody we are taking live questions. So if you come up with a question during this call, go ahead and type it in the Q&A box there, and we'll get to it towards the end. All right. Can I gain more control over my rates via audits?
Yes, yes, and yes. Using the Windsurfer CRS, you control your room rate channel distribution. You have full control over what you want to sell and when. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. You can always go within Windsurfer to your channel control to enable the GDS distribution for either your public rates, negotiated consortia, so you really can kind of gauge it from there on what you want to sell through what channel. So having the control really allows you to customize your rate codes, the names, any sort of value adds, you know, allowing the travel agents to upsell. You can market your room types effectively, really kind of adding all of the value adds on that one so they can see that right at the time of booking. And then just effectively to clear, precise messaging through either your rate codes and your room types. So I think it's super important to do the audit.
Absolutely, and I completely agree with that as well. So the hoteliers, y'all have complete control over the rates that y'all are displaying out there, but it's more than just the rates displaying out there, it's the content you're putting out there with it as well. Making sure that those audits are coming back with that correct information. And if it's not correct, making sure you jump on it as quickly as possible. As Sally stated earlier, there are a handful of people within the GDS every single day that are out there looking to book rooms for your hotel, many hotels out there. So getting a good turnaround on your audits, the HOD reports, and doing audits on those, and then making sure all that content is correct, and then ensuring that you adjust your rates accordingly to that as well.
Okay, Chuck, what do you think about audits?
This is where you want to spend your time. All the rest of this stuff, you know, is important, but what's said about your rate and how you're able to sell it is done through auditing and making sure that you feel like the message you want is being sent and you can read it similarly to the way the travel agents are. This is vital.
And then also kind of jumping back into this as well, if you are, so I mean, you have to keep in mind certain areas. With the GDS, you only have a specific amount of characters that you can utilize, a specific amount of lines in certain areas that you can utilize as well. So making sure you optimize as much of that space that you have to display in the GDS is going to be key as well. So anything that is clearly that you can abbreviate is absolutely a great idea, making sure that it's a clear abbreviation in the GDS to maximize whether it may be free Wi-Fi or free breakfast. Free is absolutely a good word to put out there for your guest to view. So making sure you promote those highlighted areas of your hotel as well.
And if you're not sure which abbreviations to use, just please contact your client experience manager and they will assist you through that messaging modifications for either your room types and or rate codes.
Very good.
This may sound stupid, but I can tell you that we find those empty many times. Be sure there's content in there.
Absolutely.
Okay. What are some alternatives for raising profits besides selling low on GDS?
I think Chuck touched on this a little earlier, but using RFP tools to gain additional business. So that's going to be anything from consortia. Using a consortia can be part of a large global travel management platform that really puts you on a bigger scale to be viewable for a lot of agencies. Also, do your research. Look at your local negotiated companies or new local businesses around the area that may have a lot of business travel coming into the city. If you can go ahead and try to obtain or tap into that market, that will absolutely bring in additional revenue for your property. So again, we've got consortia as well as any sort of local negotiated accounts that may be in your city.
Okay, Cameron?
Absolutely. I do feel that I know from my hotelier days, I mean, you're constantly out there looking for new business. Your front desk is helping you out look for new business. Pulling emails on a day-to-day basis in the front office and letting that go to that sales team, sales and marketing team, and then them trickling down and pulling information from there, or just training your staff around that to help gain that extra business. So having that negotiated rate or whatever it may be, having the capability and the knowledge at a hotel level, and then also if your staff can help out in any way to optimize that revenue coming in, or help seek out a new company, or even if there's anything going on within the surrounding area that might bring revenue to the hotel itself, definitely trying to keep on top of that as well, to where you can have that first hand in the pot with trying to get in there with any negotiated rate, anything like that. So.
Okay. Chuck, what do you think about selling low on GDS?
I'm not a big selling low person anywhere. No, absolutely. Fish where the fish are. Find out what you should be representing on the GDS and identify anyone that is already your customer through that channel and make sure you're maximizing it.
Okay. What are the top 3 items to concentrate on to optimize production in the GDS? And should we lead with our bar rate or the lowest rate showing in the rate range?
Sell smart. I mean, you definitely want to make sure that the same amount of time that you're focusing on selling smart through an OTA or selling through your booking engine, make sure that you share that same philosophy in your GDS distribution landscape. So you definitely want to make sure selling, offering the lowest rate the first time might not always be the best way to do that. Selling smart maybe with your best available rate, maybe with your corporate rate. There may not have to be any value adds associated to your rate code, but let's take a look at your property in general. Does your property offer free Wi-Fi? Does your property offer free continental breakfast or full breakfast, whatever the case may be? And add those components to your rate code descriptions. So just, kind of take a lot of the stuff that your property has to offer. If there are no value adds associated to the rate codes, let's go ahead and sell smart by adding your property information into the description. So we can go ahead and give it straight at the time of sale so that they don't have to go into your static content to see what else do I offer. So that's my 2 cents.
Being near some venue could be value add in the description, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you're within walking distance of a theater, and that seems to be the hot thing, for the summer, then you definitely want to add that. You're within 5-minute walk.
The world's largest ball stream, maybe?
Yeah, that too.
Could be a winner.
but sell smart. It's, just use what you have and make sure that your messaging clearly is coming across to all channels, not just GDS.
And then kind of going off of that as well, I mean, as Jason and Sally just stated, you can definitely change that content. So let's say if you have your bar presented out there and there's a certain attraction that is just hot for the summer that you might want to display within your description of your bar. I mean, utilizing different areas that you have accessible to you to ensure that you're grasping as much business as you possibly can for that possible attraction that's near you or a new venue that's around. So, or just a venue that's been around, that is definitely a hot topic for guests to come in and utilize.
Chuck, what do you think? Do you agree with our experts?
Yeah, you have to have a plan. I mean, just like you do with the OTAs, all the rest that we're talking about. Make sure this plan fits with the rest of your hotel. No different.
Okay, have a plan. All right, next. Does commission drive GDS bookings?
Absolutely. I mean, I definitely want a commission for sure. 10% commission is your industry standard, which offers a travel agency a little bit of icing, on the cake. So you definitely want to convey that. There are some hoteliers that don't offer commissions. So again, that's not to say that you have to, but that's definitely something they look for. So there are hoteliers that do tend to have promotions that they may run throughout the year, where they would want to increase the commission if they're running any sort of GDS marketing behind it. Also, one of the things to keep in mind is when you're doing the consortia RFP submissions for 2018, all of those RFPs do require a 10% commission in order to be accepted into those programs. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But to talk about the GDS marketing campaign again, there are some hotels that may offer 10 to 15 to 20% commission behind that rate code specific to see if there is an increase in revenue due to that.
We do have our first live question. You want to go ahead and answer it, tie it in?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do they ever refund the GDS commission when the reservation is canceled?
Unfortunately, from a travel agency's perspective, I'm not sure how they process that on their end, because it does come from the travel management companies, whether they refund it or not. I'm assuming they're only paying the commission on consumed bookings that have actually stayed at the property.
Okay. Excuse me. Cameron, you have anything to add?
Going off of Sally, she definitely, I mean, if you're offering a commission out there for that travel agent to view, they might be a little bit more inclined to book that rate. Not saying that your property couldn't display without it. If you have certain constraints that you presenting a commission out there for the hotel, you can definitely still platform your hotel on the GDS without offering a travel agent commission. But does it help? I would say, I mean, somebody is always looking for a little bit extra cash in their pocket. I definitely think it would help optimize your hotel's revenue a little bit, but it's not something that is necessary for you to go forward with to display on the GDS.
Yeah, and then just to kind of add a little bit more, travel agents commissions processing of payments is an extreme task at the hotel level. And again, commissions shouldn't be paid unless they're actually consumed bookings. So if a cancel comes in, then you're not, you don't have to honor that commission payment for that canceled reservation. But, if you don't have the bandwidth at the property level, contact your client experience manager. We do work with a travel agency commission processing company called Task that processes the commission payments on your behalf. It is a contract you have to obtain directly with them, but again, that takes a little bit of the stress away from your property to have to process those commissions on your end. But that's just something to keep in mind.
Okay. Chuck, you got anything to add?
Yeah, just pay them. If you've committed to it and you've run it through and they've consumed it, you know, be diligent. It's you don't want to get a black eye.
Very good. Next. Can't I just buy my way to the top? Can't we just do that?
Yes. Okay, so that's a really, really good question. Without money, I guess you can't really buy your way to the top, but there is a lot of GDS marketing out there that's associated to each one of the systems directly. So for example, Amadeus offers marketing where it guarantees your placement on the first page of the city search availability. If the market is saturated, then they can go ahead and have your hotel display on the first and or the second page of that display. But again, it really pushes your property where you're guaranteed to show that placement. So if you have extra funds available, you can absolutely buy your way to the top by purchasing GDS marketing and giving your hotel that preferred placement. Along with any sort of GDS marketing, you absolutely want to create a specific rate code behind that so you can go ahead and track the revenue that's coming in for that rate code. And you definitely want to look at the sorting. You want to make sure that your rate code is sorted accordingly so that if they do see the marketing message, when they go to check your hotel, your property is going to be, that rate code specific is going to come up as sorting number 1, just to back up the marketing campaign. But if you have any questions in regards to GDS marketing, you may contact your client experience manager, and they can touch base with the experts at SHR and get that going with you from our GDS contacts. So again, if you have the money, we can do it. GDS marketing is the answer.
Do you agree, Cameron?
Absolutely. So, I mean, you're always looking for little areas to help platform your hotel on the GDS, and if there is any extra marketing that you can do, absolutely reaching out to your CXM, and then we'll make sure that we have the correct content and answers to get back to you on how you would do so. So, I mean, if like Sally said, if you have that little extra money to throw towards that area, absolutely trying to utilize your budget as well as you possibly can. But this is an area like I've said from the beginning, is such a great area to most. So trying to make sure that you can platform yourself and see yourself on there as well as possible is going to be a good point.
Chuck, what's been your experience?
Yeah, good price value. It's GDS marketing is not super expensive relative to trying to buy your way to the top of Google, for example. But placement doesn't guarantee you a sell. The content, like just rate, the make sure you're presenting best value, or you're kind of wasting your time. So they really need to go hand in hand.
Yep, I agree.
Okay. What are HST tables, and why are they important if we switch CRS provider?
Extremely important. HST tables are associated to the Sabre GDS system. What they are connected to any sort of negotiated and consortia rate codes. So if your property has switched, one of the major steps that we've taken on the SHR side is to make sure that we have contacted the agencies in a timely manner prior to the switch to let them know that you have switched over. This is the only system that has tables like this, so it's crucial to make sure that the agency has set them up correctly. So the HIC table maintains the rate access code that's associated to the account, and the HST table maintains the chain code that's associated to the property. So those are two critical fields. So a lot of the negotiated and consortia rate loading goes through the SHR support team. And once they've loaded that account on our end, the next step is for the travel agency to then go in and update the HST table to make sure that the chain code is presented correctly. If for any reason the travel agency has any issues updating the HST tables, they will never be able to access the account. So again, it is a critical field in the Sabre GDS system. We do have a team of experts here that have the resources to see if that table has been updated. And if it hasn't, then we contact the travel agency directly to make sure that they are aware of the steps that they need to take on their end in order to view the rates correctly and have those accessible on their end to go ahead and move forward with bookings. But you know, again, it's super critical in Sabre for any negotiated or consortia accounts.
Anything, Brent? Cameron?
Well, much like Sally said, the HST tables, it's going to be important to make sure that they are up to date and correct. So there could be some things that we are, like Sally said, our support team will be mapping some consortia rates, negotiated rates, and everything could seem like it's great from our end, but there's still that one other side to the puzzle that you must piece together in order to make sure everything is pulling back correctly. So always keep that one in mind.
Okay. Chuck, anything to add?
No, thank you.
Okay. Very good. That's good. All right. How should I deal with hidden fields on Windsurfer to make sure the info is correct, i.e. free breakfast, free Wi-Fi, etc.?
So I can kind of jump in on that one. So absolutely, within Windsurfer, you have complete control over how you're displaying your hotel on the GDS. So hidden fields, you'll see much so when you're in Windsurfer navigating through numerous areas. Mainly your rate codes and your room types, you're going to see a multi-channel hidden field. So if you were to build out your description regularly with that room type or rate code, as you jump into that multi-channel, it's going to open that hidden field. And then that hidden field is where you will display that information. That displays out to the GDS. Now, there's a few different things that you've got to keep in mind of that is that you're only allowed a certain amount of characters to display out within those areas. So that being 47 characters per line and up to 3 lines. So I know that's one that it's not knowledge that everybody knows. And it is something that if you do have any questions as to how much can I put in this area, will it all display? It is something that you can reach out to your CXM, and then we can make sure that you're provided with the correct information as to ensuring that you have that 47 characters across. That includes spaces in there as well, so keep that in mind. And then 3 lines as well in those areas. And just kind of bouncing off of that, you do have some areas within Windsurfer that have seamless descriptions that are public to where they're not hidden, but you've got to keep in mind those seamless description areas are areas that are GDS specific. So making sure that you're platforming yourself well in those areas with your free Wi-Fi, free breakfast, whatever it may be that you can definitely put out there for the guests to view, or excuse me, not the guests, the travel agents to view, is definitely key. But making sure that you're using those spaces wisely and abbreviating things where you can. And as Sally previously stated, that if you do have any questions as to if you're abbreviating anything correctly, or if the travel agent might understand one abbreviation versus another one a little bit better, just reach out to us and present to us your questions. I have answered numerous ones in the past where I get a few sentences and I try to work with that hotelier, revenue manager, whoever it may be, to break down the correct verbiage for that in the best way possible.
Just to add on to that a little bit is the section within the Windsurfer CRS is called a multi-channel. So if you're familiar with the rate codes in the room type section, once you click on multi-channel, it'll expand over to the GDS description. That field is not always fed from your property management system. So that is something that you will have to log into the Windsurfer CRS to give a little bit of TLC to make sure that your messaging is correct. You are given 47 characters per line with a maximum of 3 lines. So you definitely want to maximize your character intake for each line. No special characters are allowed, so that's something to keep in mind. You can't add any HTML. You know, so you definitely want to make sure that the messaging you're conveying to the agents is precise. And then along with your policies, that's the same thing. So if you have any questions or just need a little guidance in how to update those, contact your client experience manager for feedback.
Yeah, and just to kind of express on this a little bit more, making sure that all of your content, so when you pull those HOD reports, that all your content is correct. Anything that's seamless or on that hidden field, making sure all those areas are to your liking and will display your hotel well. And then once you go through those audits of those HOD reports, letting your CXM know so that we can go ahead and queue out a refresh to the GDS. So that is something that we do have to make sure that we push out to the GDS as you update your locations, your amenities, those areas like that, because the more information, and I might be going off a topic with this, but I feel like it's something that is extremely important to the hotel to make sure that you have all content, special attractions, locations, airports, any of that kind of information is going to be extremely important to what the travel agent pulls back if they're looking for a special, a hotel near a special attraction or a special location or an airport, things like that. So making sure you have all that correct information and up to date, because it is an area that, okay, once it's done from the beginning, not everybody remembers to come back to that area all the time to update all that information. So making sure that you're staying active in those areas, and your HOD report will display those different areas and how it's being displayed to the travel agents to view. So that will also cue you in to remind you that, okay, hey, I need to go and update this new attraction that just came up, this new water park that came up in the area, whatever it may be. So absolutely any hidden fields, any multi-channel areas or seamless areas, or just information in general, making sure you have that up to date.
Very good.
Totally agree. Think about seasonal stuff though too. Anything that might end up being stale too. Old events, major events like, I don't know, the Olympics or something. Sometimes you can find some pretty interesting things tucked in there that aren't relevant anymore.
Okay. How do we know what pictures are being sent out to Leonardo? Some pictures that are correct in Windsurfer are not being pushed out to Leonardo at the same time.
That's a very good question. There are two imagery companies out there for distribution. So Leonardo VFM is one of them, absolutely. The next one is Ice Portal. SHR uses Ice Portal for image distribution across OTAs as well as GDS. Ice Portal and Leonardo are not associated with one another, so if you do have images, old images out there that are tied into Leonardo, that will be something that you will need to contact Leonardo directly to request that those images be removed. But there are, again, two different companies out there for the image distribution, and the key client or partnership that we have is with Ice Portal. That allows us to upload up to 50 high-res images for each one of our clients for distribution. So now that GDS has expanded from a green screen to now a graphical user interface, those images are very vital for the travel agency visual on their end to make sure not only that they're reading the content accurately and it's up to date, but looking at the pictures for that property to kind of get a visual of where their client is going to be staying. So hope I was able to answer that.
I mean,
Cameron, what do you think?
I definitely feel like having a good visual out there for your property is important. I mean, a lot of people are very visually inclined, myself as well. I love to see pictures of where I'm going, where I'm staying, all that good stuff. So making sure that you have good content out there to view. And then that also plays over into other aspects of your booking engine, making sure that you have good pixelated pictures, making sure that you have a crisp picture out there for your travel agents, for your guests to view. Absolutely.
Anything to add, Chuck?
Picture's worth 1,000 words, right?
Absolutely.
50
Yeah.
pictures.
There you
I bet you we don't have 50 pictures.
I bet you after this call we will have.
Yeah, right? I think that I wrote that down because it's important. It's super important.
go. Even our experts are learning on the show. Okay. All right. Well, we have a little time left if there are any more questions. And while we wait on any last minute questions, I want to thank Sally and Cameron for walking down the hall and joining us in this conference room.
Thank you for having
Yes,
us.
thank
so
you.
much.
And then Chuck, thank you for joining us.
Anytime.
It's always good to have a client on one of these calls.
Absolutely. And hopefully everybody took away something from this that you can absolutely utilize. And if you have any questions about anything, just reach out to your client experience manager. If it's something that we need to ask a few questions about, we will. If it's something that we know right on hand, we'll make sure we get it to you. Don't think that there is never an answer or there ever is a question that shouldn't be asked. I mean, if you have a question, we can definitely guide you in the correct direction. And then if it is something, we can help put you in the correct direction as to where you need to go to get that answer. So hopefully everybody took away some good information from this.
Very good. And as I stated before, I mean, many, if not most, of our client experience managers were once hoteliers.
Absolutely.
So we do a pretty good job of bringing in hoteliers because they can empathize with those phone calls.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, with no more questions, we want to thank our audience for joining us. I'm sure we'll do this again. It seems to be heavily attended, these types of calls, and we appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.